was formerly the Chief Financial Officer for Wealthsimple, one of Canada's fastest growing companies. Now, Leen was also named this year in the Globe and Mail's Report on Business for Top Business Leaders of 2020, and she made the watch list for Toronto Life's most powerful people. So welcome, Leen. It's humbling to have you here.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, everyone. I'm humbled to be here and to share a little bit more about Wealthsimple Foundation and my journey to get there. We're excited to have a chat.
Amazing, amazing. Well, congratulations on your new role as CEO and President of the Wealthsimple Foundation. I know it's early days in the foundation, but can you share with us, a bit of your journey and how you became so successful?
Thank you. I don't know whether I'm so successful, but I can definitely share a little more about Wealthsimple Foundation and my journey to get here. So as Cindy said, Wealthsimple Foundation, we're early days of Wealthsimple Foundation, which was launched last year, but we do have a very clear mandate. So I want to talk a bit about Wealthsimple Foundation and then talk a bit more how I get here. So we, as Wealthsimple Foundation, is really to help children in Canada to access post-secondary education. The dream is to have every single Canadian will have a better life and brighter future because of education. The reason why we're passionate is our mandate, because we know that people with higher education makes more money than people without in all countries, including Canada. Right now, the foundation's primary focus is really to help children from low-income families to access certain government-sponsored education saving grants, particularly one incentive program called Canada Learning Bond. So what is Canada Learning Bond? At the highest level, Canadian government will give from $500 to up to $2,000 per kid to help the kid to have a post-secondary education if the family income is below a certain level, as if the kid is born after December 31st, 2013. So this money is absolutely free money. The family doesn't have to contribute to their education saving program. There's no impact on the benefits you receive from the government. Now, this is a stats just released last week. By 2019, out of 3.6 million children who are eligible for this incentive in Canada, less than 1.5 million children actually had applied and received this. So if you do the math,
it's free money, right? It's free money, right? Pretty much.
Over 2 million children who actually qualify. The government knew you qualified, but the family has not applied for that incentive, right? It's absolute free money. Reasonable to assume it's not because they don't want the money. I think there's a lot of barriers to provide a family to get in the incentive. So now we believe Wealthsimple Foundation, I personally believe Wealthsimple Foundation is in a very good position to actually remove those barriers. So to help these families to can actually take advantage of the program and start to save for their children's education. We set a very aggressive goal. So what we want to do with the foundation perspective is using foundation's effort to help 1 million children in Canada to receive this Canada Learning Bond incentive in the next 10 years. So this is really kind of very highest level of the Wealthsimple Foundation. It's early days. We have lots of things to do, but we got lots of help from the government, from the organizations, and from community partners to really help us thinking through the strategy and how to reach out those families, how to making sure that it's very easy for them to have access to this incentive. And for me, how I get here, it's really, I think my personal passion about education and the how-to family who are less fortunate, those combinations really kind of speak to me loudly and clearly. And there's opportunity with Wealthsimple to actually do something to help those families and to help the children from those families to actually have a shot at receiving the post-secondary education. And then I just can't really skip the opportunity. So
amazing. I read a news article about you that said that you grew up in rural China in a household with no running water and no electricity. Like, is that true? Like, tell us about that. Tell us about, your roots.
So first, say to the audience, like, be careful of social media. I didn't grow up with social media. I didn't realize people out there can't take it back. So almost true. I grew up in rural China, Northeast China. Actually, the background behind me is actually 2 hours driving from where I was born, right on the border between China and North Korea. I'm the youngest of 5 girls in the family. We grew up in a household. There's no, at the beginning, there was no running water. There's no toilet. You have to go to use toilet in the public toilet side of it. There's this, I think there's electricity for sure. Yeah. So I remember, but it's cut down after 9 o'clock. So I remember my sisters used to have those candles and then do homework.
Wow, that's incredible. And when you decided to come to Canada, I think you were out east first and then you moved to Toronto. Is that?
Yeah. So I came here as international student, 2001. Yes. So I went to Halifax first. The very first few months I was learning English at TESOL school. And then after the first few months, I was able to pass my English courses and exams. And then I was accepted to a commerce program in St. Mary's University. So I had my bachelor degree, my first bachelor degree education in China. And I got second one in St. Mary's in Halifax. And then right after that, I continued on my study and then received the MBA in finance. And then after that, I came to Toronto.
Wow, interesting. And if you don't mind me asking, why Canada? Why did you choose Canada? I mean, I'm sure you had other options as well.
There's no need to say, right? Everyone who travels internationally know that people love Canadians and love Canada. It is true in China as well. It's a very friendly country. But I think most important is a very multicultural country as well. So Canada is not just a country accept immigrants, but also accept their culture, their background. So for me, it was the way to come here to feel comfortable. And I feel comfort to be around with people who look like me, but also to be around with people who don't look like me and come from different cultures so I can learn, right? Think about instead of traveling 100 countries, spending all this money, all this time, you can actually meet 100 people in Canada from 100 different backgrounds and cultures to learn their culture, their knowledge, and their food. It's like a very good trade-off.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most beautiful things about this country. Has the COVID pandemic shifted the foundation's priorities at all, or do you see things differently post-pandemic?
I think for us, it's a sense of urgency, right? So the priorities of focus are still the same, but now because the pandemic is definitely create a sense of urgency for Wealthsimple Foundation to actually take actions, work with the community partners actually to help those families in need, right? We heard all different stats. Pandemic has impact every single person, but for families from marginalized communities and with less income, they're disproportionately impacted. So post, I guess, COVID, from the economic recovery perspective, they're further behind in a way. So how foundation can work with different people, different partners to really help this family think through their financial lives and then really kind of start thinking long term to help their children to save for education, to access all those free money that provide by government that they help them to take advantage of that. I think that's really important. It's definitely just the focus and the mission not changed, but now is we need to actually do things faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's more immediacy.
I think that's the first thing. Second thing is, we're just talking about earlier today, right? For the Canada Learning Bound program, is based on the family income. Now, there are more people got impacted this year and lost their jobs, unfortunately. So those kids from these families actually will get additional $500 from the government next year when they file tax returns, which they may not be qualified in the past, right? I mean, you work in the kind of the charity and education space, you know exactly how much change $500 can bring to a kid's education. So we're excited to actually help to promote that message and help more people to get incentives.
Mm-hmm. $500 can go a long way. It's a big deal right now. And, we started an emergency fund at the George Brown College Foundation to support our students. And we received thousands, close to 8,000 or 9,000 applications just throughout this time. And, students are facing both food and housing insecurity, lost part-time and full-time jobs, and amplified costs due to technology, right? Because most of our students are studying from home right now. So it makes a huge difference. Now, the George Brown College Foundation and the Wealthsimple Foundation is aligned in our missions, right? So our mission is that no student be denied a post-secondary education due to financial constraints. I'm curious about your personal philanthropy, and what's your approach to personal philanthropy outside of the Wealthsimple Leen? Let's just you. What's your approach to philanthropy, and where are your areas that you are most passionate about?
I think you may be the better person to answer this question than myself, right? So first thing is I just want to give public kudos to George Brown College Foundation and George Brown College, how fast both organizations moved together to really help your students to address the financial difficulties and put food on the table and provide access so they can continue their education. When COVID hit, I remember we had a board meeting conversation, so kudos to everyone got involved in that part of it. The second one is I want to just give a personal appreciation to Cindy. I know I'm talking to you, you're a big part of helping me to think about my philanthropy kind of thoughts, and really helped me in the last couple of years since I met you. So definitely a big part of it. For me, I think the two things that really speaks loud clearly to me, as I mentioned, that's one of the reasons why I joined the Wealthsimple Foundation. The first one is to help people to have access to education. Second is to help people from, I guess, marginalized communities or with less income, because that's really part of my personal identity, personal journey to get here. As Cindy mentioned, I wasn't my family was probably low-income family in Chinese standard, but I was very, very lucky to be able to have a post-secondary education right after my high school. That really helped my future journey in my life. So right now I have a better life than most of my sisters that were born single parents. So for me, these two causes really speak to me in my journey. And in the past, I think the biggest change with your help and with the COVID is really, in the past, I want to just wait and do this big thing, right? My biggest dream before I came to Canada is to make money and then be single. And then once I retire 65, I sell all my assets and then take this money, go back to my hometown, I build a small school and teach there. So that was driving my whole journey. Is I need to save, I need to do these big things so I can make bigger impact. But I think it's more important is to make smaller impact along the way, that because there's people right now today need the help. So that's, I think the biggest shift. Just a recent development. Second one is more be thoughtful, where I think I can add most value and impact, and then how to start right now to plan ahead. If that makes sense.
That's very, very meaningful. So You're also involved in Move the Dial, right? So you're a key leader at Move the Dial. And if you can tell our audience a little bit about Move the Dial and what attracted you to this organization.
I think Move the Dial, the vision, the mission is to advance women and increase the female participation in the corporate world, in tech community. Being like, I'm self-identified as a woman, being in kind of for-profit side of it for almost 20 years. I've seen and experienced the struggles that being a female in the corporate world, if you call the climb the corporate ladder. So that was the one thing really attracted me to actually be able to help to amplify the woman's voice at workplace, to help them to figure out and navigate and to get to where they want to be, right? Not everyone wants to be C-level executives, but how to be treated fairly, how to be given like right opportunities, how to ask for compensation fairly. All of those little things can accumulate to a big, I guess, leap in the journey. So that's one of the reasons why I was very passionate about that mission.
Mm-hmm. I attended one of the Move the Dial events. This was probably about 2 years ago, and you had invited me, and I'm just really impressed with the turnout and the work that you're doing with particularly young girls, right? Because a lot of them came in busloads from high schools across the GTA. So kudos to you and the group for moving the dial on that.
Yeah, it's like interesting, right? It's a longer journey. Like, I like at the very early stage of my career, I'm really focused on getting to my career goal, right? Like really be focused, tunnel vision, get there. I think along the way, I started to realize that, it's never complete. There are a lot of things that I need to do, and there's lots of more people I can help if I just stop and didn't be thoughtful and think about it. We had a conversation with the people at work and my friends. It's like, for youth, right? Like if you see yourself in somebody who's up there, who's so-called more successful, then that's just level of motivation. Like that's like put a dream, right? Plant the seed in a person's head. Is like, if she or he can do that, and I look like just like her, I will have a shot to get there. And I think having a dream and having a hope is the first step to change and to be better, and then to be the person that people want to be. It's an interesting self discovery journey for me, for sure. I wasn't like that 20 years ago.
Should I even ask? Should I go there? Well, you are a board member of mine at the George Brown College Foundation, which technically makes you my boss. So I'm trying to do like a really good job on this webinar. But what are some of the things that you've noticed as a board member at George Brown or a board member at Move the Dial or any of the charitable organizations that you support? Like, what's the one thing that you've learned throughout this journey?
I think two things through particular George Brown College Foundation board. I don't know whether I told you this. The very first time I attended the board meeting, and then after I left, I sent email to a couple of people in my network and said, first, I regretted I didn't take a photo of the board meeting, aka with the board members in it. Second one is come to George Brown College Foundation's board website and just see how diverse and how capable every single board member is. And I think my finished email is that for any organization, say they can't build a diverse board or leadership, that's just excuse. So hopefully this will tell you the one thing I'm super impressed. I know the previous chairman of the board, Peter, and then Gary right now, and you, and then every single board member have tried really, really hard in the last few years to build a very diverse and capable board. But you started early and see the results you have, right? So I think that was very impressive for me. So for the people who are on the call, check it out, see everybody on the board, and then you will really understand what I mean. The second one is how open and just like how humble every single board member is. Like every single person on this board is super capable and super successful and super kind, humble. Like I'm learning a lot. Like, you know, I just start my kind of experience as board member, so I'm like learning every single conversations, every single email, just to how to be a board, like, you know, a better board member, how to be a better advisor, how to add value to the foundation, and also how to be a better executive to report to the board, right? Like, you know, I told you before, it's like, I think because that journey made me more confident to take the Wealthsimple Foundation's job. Without this experience, I think I will feel less confident for that. So thank you.
Well, Leen, you've been you are an incredible board member in the short period of time that you've been with us. I've learned so much from you, and, you know, congratulations on your appointment again as the chair of the investment committee now. So you have, you know, what is it, almost $30 million to look after for us. I know. No pressure though, no pressure. And you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. You know, our mandate at the foundation is to ensure that, again, no student is denied a post-secondary education because of financial constraints, and all the endowments that we have go directly to students and student support. I have a few questions from participants. Oops, what did I do here? I have a few questions. I have two questions from Brittany. So the first one is for you, Leen. What's something that's been keeping you sane amongst this work from home environment and the typical avenues of entertainment that's largely on pause? And the second question is, how do I get involved with Move the Dial?
Okay, good question. Thank you, Brittany. I guess the first one, keeping sane. So that's interesting. I'm a very boring person in life. I don't watch much TVs. I don't have Netflix. I don't have paid Netflix. So during the COVID, I think one habit I picked is actually start watching Chinese entertainment shows. So I'm Chinese. I grew up in China. I came to Canada when I was 25. Since I came, in order to motivate me to learn English, I didn't really speak Mandarin or get involved, continue with the culture for a very long time. I think during pandemic, I don't know how, but suddenly I just start going back to Chinese entertainment shows, the programs. Just like the shows, like very funny, not dark, but very bright. I think that helped me keeping me sane. It's like it make me grounded to who I am. It remind me a lot of I guess happy moments and then the times I was able to spend with my parents and my sisters who were in China and I haven't seen them for a while. I think down to, it doesn't matter what strategy and the process you're using, is like what makes sense to you, and then what make you to be further like closely connected to the people you love. I think that makes sense. Yeah, second one is like I told to our employee resource group yesterday, is like I developed a new habit is to take care of myself. So I start really taking my physically myself. And I found we are on Zoom calls all the time. And sometimes, although you don't want to look at yourself, you focus on yourself and say, oh my God, I look really good today, and make you feel really positive and energized good as well. So I start really doing different things to take care of myself. And I think that's very important for everyone to be able to take care of themselves first. So that's the things And also like, because we can't go out, and then I just save tons of money. I look at my credit card, oh, it's pretty good, and then I'm healthier as well. So I think all in all, those are the silver lining of lockdown at home. How do I get involved with the Move the Dial? That's a very good question. I've been talking to the founder and CEO of the Move the Dial, and I think there will be more news coming from that organization. So I will leave that to her to help. But like one thing is like, you don't really need to get involved with like one organization, right? If you're passionate about the things you're passionate about, there are many organizations that you can get involved. There's things you can do to actually promote the cause. You know, if you're passionate about helping women to advance their career, there are lots of different avenues you can donate. You can be a mentor to youth. I know there's programs at George Brown College as well.
Amazing, thank you. We have a couple of other questions. One of the questions is, what advice would you give students, you know, during this time to maintain their resiliency?
I'm going to use an example. I'm just using a strategy I always use. It may not work with everyone. Along my life, I learned how to balance my emotion. So when the time is very difficult, when it's very dark, I force myself to think about the happy moments, right? You know, like, you know, I'm fortunate, I'm very lucky that I have tons of happy moments that in my memory I can share with myself. You know, the time I play with my sisters, with my friends. So when it's really dark, I try to think about those moments. So kind of take my emotion up to a certain level. But at the same time, when I'm in a very high, like very, very high emotions, like very happy, I tend to think something, you know, unlucky happened to me. And then just really tailor that. A lot of call them like escaping or coaching methodology, but it works for me. So that's how I build it. Is whenever there's bad things happen to me, I always think about the good things happened to me in the past. Whenever there's great things happen to me, I always telling myself like, calm down. This is just part of life. So hopefully it helps.
Wow,
second is talk to people around you, and not in general that make you feel better.
Awesome. Wow, we have a participant from Colombia, South America, and she has a question. In order to help others, do you think that as an international student just starting their career, their programs at GBC, could we support and help in some way the GBC Foundation and friendly foundations? I think I'll answer that. Absolutely, yes. We're always looking for volunteers. So get in touch with Alan Penning or Carmel Drumgool, who's on the call today. I have one last question for you, Leen. Two questions. Number one, how does one find out more about the Canada's, I guess you called them the bonds?
Yeah. The easiest one is come to Wealthsimple's website. We have a section we call magazine, basically just a blog to tell people on different type of product and then investment side of it. So I can share the link, I guess, with Cindy with you, and then for people who can actually go to the website to check out. We have one article just particular with RESP, like Register Education Saving Program, and on that page you can actually see what's the detail of the Canada Learning Bond. And at the same time, if you go to the government website or go to Google, just type Canada Learning Bond, and you will have the link to explain to you on that part of it. But one thing I want to just leave here is all you need to do right now is to open an RESP account and apply for that if you qualify. If you have an investment account, if you have a financial advisor, ask them about it. They will know the information as well. The goal is really to kind of promote the program so people can take advantage of that.
Excellent. And my last question for you, what's your favorite foods?
Korean food.
Oh, I know a great Korean restaurant. So you and I are going to go to that Korean restaurant when the city reopens.
Deal.
It's 12:30.
Yeah.
It's 12:30, Lena. I just want to, thank you for your time, and I want to thank all the participants for their time. We have another webinar tomorrow with Jennifer Campo, who's the leader of the Indigenous Pillar at Georgetown College. But Lena, I'm going to leave the last word for you. Like, anything you want to share with our audience before we log out?
First, thank you very much for attending the session. The holidays are coming. For people who are fortunate financially, please help to the others as much as you can. And also to everyone on the call, one thing I want to leave with you is take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Leen. Words of wisdom.
Thank
All right. We're going to log out, and thank you again, everybody, and we hope to see you soon. Happy holidays. Take care.
Thank you. Happy holidays. Thank you, Cindy.
Bye-bye.